Mike and I were talking yesterday about it. Okay, can you do any holiday songs yet? And he asked, and Alyssa, his wife, came up with that one. I said, oh, yeah, you could do that for Thanksgiving. Hadn't thought about that. And then I said, sure, let's do that. And then I went and I turned on YouTube, went looking for it. Perry Como, listen to Perry Como do it. I said, oh God, no, I can't do this. I can't do a Perry Como song. It's just go listen. It's just so sweet. What a voice. My mother knew Perry Como. He would bring his Rolls Royce into the Taylor Rolls Royce dealership in West Palm Beach where she worked.
That's where I worked.
You worked there too. and they would sing. My mother was a great singer, and they would sing duets, the two of them. Yeah, God bless them. God bless Perry and Mom up in the great heavens, enjoying their life right now. I know that's true. So this morning we're going to be discussing the positive Tetris effect that's available to us on Thanksgiving week. Anyone ever played that video game Tetris? Yeah, it involves geometric figures that float down a screen, and your job is to get the geometric figures to match what's on the bottom and to fit into certain patterns. It's pretty cool. We'll talk about it more. But right now, happy Thanksgiving week. Happy Thanksgiving. I love what Johnny Carson, remember Johnny Carson? Anybody remember Johnny Carson? Old enough to remember Johnny Carson? So Johnny Carson said, Thanksgiving is an emotional holiday. People travel thousands of miles to be with the people they only see once a year. And then they discover that once a year is way too often. He was so good. And Garrison Keeler of Prairie Home Companion, I almost crashed my car when I heard this. I was listening. I love to listen to Prairie Home Companion. You all know Prairie Home Companion and NPR. So Garrison Keeler said a few years ago, Thanksgiving is a day when American families get together to put up with each other, to find out just how long they can put up with each other, and to see what kind of anesthetic will be needed to get them through it. So great. Be aware. So, you know, Thanksgiving has its interesting moments, doesn't it? Because it involves family typically, and God bless family. We love family. And so, anyways, a lot of our neuroses show up, you know, being with family, and a lot of stuff. Our family of origin issues come alive then. But we're going to focus on creating a positive Tetris effect today. There's a couple of opportunities that I just want to remind us of with Thanksgiving week. One, of course, is intimacy with family. I love what we began to do. At some point in my life, we would sit around the table and we would say our requisite grace, and then pass the potatoes and the turkey and all. And at some point, then whoever was the head of the table, the mother, the father, the grandpa, grandma, whatever, would say, "Okay, now everyone, be quiet. What are you grateful? Let's talk. Let's each take a minute or two and share. What are you grateful for? What's happened this year that you love, that you enjoyed, that came into your life?" And it's just a nice time. Yeah, sure, we're going to watch the Detroit Lions later in the day. Or maybe we already watched them. And sure, we're going to be talking about all kinds of family issues and stuff. But it's so nice to just take 15 minutes. Doesn't even take 15 minutes sometimes. But just go around that table and let people share and encourage, especially encourage the shy ones, or encourage the children to think of just one thing that they're grateful for. It's a good practice, and it encourages family intimacy. It's really nice, because we typically discuss logistics, don't we? At the holidays, we discuss logistics, like how long did the turkey cook for? You know, or I wonder if the snowplow will be out and clearing the roads by the time we go home. Or how's Aunt Mabel doing in Petoskey? We discuss the logistics, of life, and we don't like. At least this was my family growing up. We seldom got into the heart. We seldom did that. We discussed, what was wrong with the world. We discussed what politicians we liked. Those are all good conversations for dinner. I'm not too sure what's wrong with the world is a good topic for it. But if we can focus upon, but many of us go there anyways. And I just invite us to take some time to establish that family intimacy. No matter who you're having Thanksgiving with. Just to share, what are you grateful for? What are you thankful for? And then the second thing, to real great opportunity, is creating a positive Tetris effect on your life. It can change your life, truly. If you'll do this exercise we'll be talking about today for the next 21 days, it will change your life. Sean Achor, in the book called The Happiness Advantage, recommended it highly. Now, Sean Achor is a psychologist, and was a psychologist out of the Harvard School of Positive Psychology, and he wrote a book called The Happiness Advantage. He's got a TED Talk or two, and he's a terrific writer and speaker. Funny man. So we did his book as a series, maybe a couple of years ago, and I think we'll probably do it again because it was so good. University studies show, according to Achor, that if you want to be successful in life, you be happy and optimistic. And one of the optimism and happiness just opens up all the antennae to notice where the good stuff is, to notice where the opportunities are. And one of the great way to become optimistic and happy is through gratitude. The quickest way into gratitude. Now, what does this sound like that we've been talking about? This whole idea of being happy and optimistic. No, it's the same thing as what Abraham Hicks talks about, the vortex. That place of happiness, joy, and freedom, peace of mind, where we're just open and receptive and feeling good about life, feeling good about ourselves. And then the flow, then we start to notice all the good things that are flowing our way. People who are optimistic and happy see opportunities that others didn't see. We did a talk series called The Luck Factor a few years ago, based upon a book by psychologist at the University of Herefordshire. Great book. I heard about it on NPR. I bought the book right away and loved it. And they did experiments on people to show without a doubt that people who are happy, optimistic, and consider themselves fortunate, they just see stuff that people who are either pessimistic or neutral, neither optimistic nor pessimistic, just don't see, including $50 bills laying on the floor. I mean, they even were able to, they did scientific studies that showed that. And now the scientists are saying that people who are happier are more creative, in fact. They're able to process more data, to make wiser choices. They did the experiments on doctors. Doctors were, and I'll quote Achor, he said, doctors were put in a positive mood before making a diagnosis. And they showed almost 3 times more intelligence and creativity than doctors in a neutral state. And they made accurate diagnoses 19% faster than the other doctors. And did you hear that? Medical doctors were put in a positive mood before diagnosing you, showed 3 times more intelligence and creativity than doctors in a neutral state. And their diagnoses were made 19% faster. It was amazing statistics. They tested salespeople, and optimistic salespeople outsell their pessimistic counterparts by 56%. 56%. It just stands to reason, of course. Of course, the schools of positive psychology are affirming what we have been teaching in the law of attraction, that thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. As one of the great Unity writers, Martha Judici, wrote, thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. It's called by Unity the law of mind action, which is about the same thing as what we've been calling the law of attraction. Thoughts that you hold in your mind, you'll tend to outpicture them in your world. If you're pessimistic, well, you'll tend to get what you're pessimistic. You'll tend to see reasons for pessimism. If you're optimistic and happy and looking for opportunities, you'll start to see opportunities. So the Tetris effect is this. What we repeatedly see and look for, we continue to see and look for it. Now, I'm going to find my little clicker here, and I'm going to show you the game. Well, I'm not going to show you the game. I'm going to show you just a picture of the game. So that's how it looks. Can you all see that? That's basically one slice in 1 minute of it. the geometric shapes are floating down, and your job with the joystick is to get this to fit somewhere where it fits perfectly, and of course it's right there. But the problem is it's moving pretty quick by this point. You're on level 4 here, so it's moving right along. So you got to get that joystick flying, and you're watching it, and it never stops. As soon as that one's down, then you see the next geometric design, and then the next one, and then the next one. So you're watching geometric designs all the time. People play this for hours, hours and hours. And they say that they've done studies, and people who play this for hours and hours and hours will then walk through a grocery store, through the cereal area, and they'll be rearranging all the boxes to make their mind will continue to see geometric figures, geometric shapes, and they'll walk in and they will automatically be rearranging the post toasties so that it matches perfectly with the oatmeal boxes and filling in all the blanks. It's called the Tetris Effect. They say that tax preparers who are looking for, who are looking for opportunities to save will continue to see opportunities to save. Quality control supervisors, food safety personnel who are looking for what's wrong, they'll continue to see what's wrong all across their lives because they're paid to look for what's wrong, and they'll find it. There was a CPA who was paid very handsomely to review reports and to look at businesses and to prepare spreadsheets on what was going wrong so that they could take a look and then fix it. That worked very well for the CPA. He worked for KPMG. Worked very well for him until one day he took a spreadsheet home to his wife and showed her all that she had been doing wrong for the past 6 weeks. See, yeah, oops is right. We'll be discussing that this afternoon on WJR. You get my email. I'll be on WJR this afternoon at 4 o'clock with Rochelle Riley and Marie Osborne. They have a wonderful show called In the Mix. And we'll be discussing this Tetris Effect briefly and talking about that CPA. It's an interesting show. So, so he had, you see, the CPA, that's what he did 8-10 hours a day. Look for what's wrong, create a spreadsheet. So naturally, he began to relate to his family the same way. It works in some ways, doesn't work in others, as you can well imagine. You kind of wonder how the divorce turned out. But the same phenomenon that could work against you. Now, I have to tell you about my own Tetris Effect. I was a personal injury attorney. I sometimes handled cases against drugstores and grocery stores where people had been walking through looking at produce and all, and then slipped in something and went down and fractured, broke their arms or broke a leg or something. I handled those lawsuits. And when guess when I walk through a grocery store now, I mean, maybe I'm the only person in that whole store who sees all the problems. And I'll point them out. I'll take a produce clerk and say, see a banana down there? You like pick that? Oh, I didn't see that, thanks. Yeah, but I didn't miss it because I was paid to see that banana. I notice things, and other people go, they'll say, oh, thank you, I hadn't thought of that. Mother pushing her child in the cart, 2-year-old walking around in the cart. Well, all my alarm bells go off because I have handled cases like that where the child spills out of the cart. And I kind of let the mother know gently. I said, please forgive me, but I was, and I never thought of that. She said, thank you very much. So it can be helpful. It can also be a hindrance. But anyway, so that's how the Tetris Effect does play itself out. The positive Tetris Effect that Sean Achor in Happiness Advantage recommends to us is about the practice of being grateful as a practice. Getting your mind into the habit of gratitude so that you take the first few minutes of the day and you start every morning with thinking about no less than 20 things you're thankful for or grateful for. And speak them aloud. No less than 20 things. And then he also recommends something called the 3 gratitudes. The 3 gratitudes. For 21 days in a row, he recommends, write down or say 3 things that you are grateful for that are new and happened over the past 24 hours. So 3 things that you're grateful for that are new and just happened over the past 24 hours. And be specific. Don't say, I'm grateful for my health. Say, I'm grateful for my health because. What happened that day that you're grateful for about your health? Well, I'm so grateful for my health. I was able to take a walk outside and appreciate the fall colors. It was so beautiful. I'm so grateful for my children. My son called from Brooklyn today, and it made me feel so good. I really missed talking to him. Be specific about it. Don't just write it off as, I'm grateful for my car, I'm grateful for my family. No, be specific. I'm grateful for my car because I was able to take a drive and go see my friend for lunch. Be specific. Really, like, get your mind in the habit into a positive Tetris effect of looking for things to be grateful for. What happened, I noticed when I did this a couple years ago, was after a few days of doing this on purpose, I began to be looking throughout the day. Okay, what do I do tomorrow for my positive Tetris effect? What will be for my 3 gratitudes? Oh, I've got to make a note of that for tomorrow. The nice lunch I just had with this lovely person. Got to remember that for tomorrow. So the mind begins, rather than the mind going into all the negative stuff that our mind. Anybody else experience that your mind goes to negative stuff kind of sometimes? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. So it's not just me. So we get ourselves. That's because we've had a negative Tetris effect. We tend to look. Anyways, there's lots of reasons for that. But the point is, the positive Tetris effect. Begin to work on your gratitude. Get yourself in the habit of looking for things to be grateful for. And because of the spiritual law, known as the law of focus, what you focus upon, who knows the rest of that? What I focus upon expands. Yeah, thank you. What I focus upon expands in my experience. I see more of it. I see more of those opportunities that I have been noticing and focusing upon. Take a look at our website, spiritualdetroit.com. You'll find in the drop-down menu under About Us, you'll see Tips for Happiness. There's a whole bunch of these ideas written out there for you in case you want to remember or mention it to a friend of yours. See, the ancient psalmists and the ancient writers of Scripture knew a lot of this stuff. They didn't call it that, but they just noticed that it worked. There's a scripture known as Philippians, which reads, "Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things." Get yourself in the vortex. If you run into a problem with somebody, you're having a tough day, or you had a bad meeting or something, that son of a gun. Look at Philippians. Whatsoever things are true about that meeting, whatsoever things are honest about that meeting, or whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are beautiful, I can think about that person. Focus on those things. You can focus on her bad points. Sure, well, that's easy. Look for the good things you can think about, if you're going to think about her at all. Or as Abraham says, okay, if you can't get yourself back to equanimity, if you can't get yourself to a place of feeling good about that person, let that person go. And think about something else then that you are easily moved to happiness about. Someone once asked baseball player Pete Rose, when he was in his 40s and still playing professional baseball, he asked him whether or not the legs are the first thing that goes in playing professional baseball. He responded by declaring it was not the legs, but rather the inner desire and the gratitude of being there. That's the first to go. And it very well may be that gratitude is the beginning of the end. When you stop being grateful for things, then we go into a bit of a spiral. It gets to be all downhill from there. So this week, I like to recommend to you that you work on the positive Tetris effect. Work on it for the rest of the month. Work on it for, as Acor recommends, for 21 days. And watch. Watch what happens in your life and come back and share about it. Now, I'd like to do something a little unusual right now. I'd like you to find somebody in the room that you're not in personal relationship with, and just go and be with them for a minute or two and share 3 things that you're grateful for right now. 3 things, and be specific. Not just I'm grateful for my eyesight, grateful for my health. Think about 3 things that you're grateful for that are kind of new, and be specific about them. Would you be willing to do that? Let's just practice that 3 gratitudes right now. Mike, you want to play some music while we do that?